yesterday's price is not today's price. That is a very flat statement that should be very simplistic. However, it's easy to understand it when we're talking about a product, when we're engaging in just simple economics of, well, yesterday that car was worth this, today it's worth this. The price may have gone down. However, for this stock, yesterday it may have been this, but today it's actually a little bit higher. And the thing that I want you to think about, it's easy to think about products and brands and things like that in regards of yesterday's price is not today's price, but I want you to think about you. Are you worth yesterday what you are worth today? Has it gone up or has it gone down? Who determines that? Clearly, you determine that. So the question you should ask yourself is, why has my price gone down or gone up? And what are the factors that concern myself with my worth or my value going up or down, and how you see yourself? There was a time where I believe we would play shows for X amount of money. I was on tour with the band, and oh my goodness, we got paid X amount of dollars just to show up. And we were thrilled with that amount. We were like, dude, this is it. We're kings of the city. Can't touch us. I look back at that, and it's not laughable because I give compassion and care to the former versions of ourselves that we were on the road. But I look at it now and I'm like, nah, man. And it's not because, I'm worth more now. It's because we were worth more then. We were worth way more than that. And I will follow this up with a personal story, because what you determine your self-worth to be will determine the outcome or your quality of life. And when we draw healthy boundaries and we speak up for ourselves, where we're speaking from is as important as what we're speaking. If we believe that we are of value, if we believe that we are of worth, that we carry weight, we carry skill, we carry uniqueness into a situation, we will speak from that. If we don't believe we have that, we will speak from a different place. And so you have to understand that what you're saying is as important as where you're speaking from. Where do you value yourself? If yesterday's price is not today's price, what is it for you that's going up, and what are you doing that makes you believe you are of more value? And it doesn't even have to be anything you do. You could just declare it. Be, do, be, have, do. Whew, almost got that mixed up. When you are being somebody of high value, you will then do things that are of value, and then you will have things that are of value. And the idea with being a person of value is, I break this down to my family a lot. And actually, I could break this down even simpler. There was a Tony Robbins speech he was giving, and he said, I want everybody to raise their hand who's single. And this guy raises his hand who's single. And he says, I can tell you why you're single. And the guy's like, why? He's like, well, let's say, you're on a road trip with somebody, and they ask you, hey, do you need to use the bathroom? What do you tell them? And he says, no, I don't have to. And Tony's like, that's why you're single. And Tony said to the audience, what should you say? What would be the serviceable thing to say? And they said, do you have to go to the bathroom as well? Like asking, would you like some? Or do you need to go? Can I help you with that? When somebody asks how your day was, it's always kind of etiquette to say, and how was yours? As opposed to just being like, my day, this, that, and the third, man. Wow, we're only talking about me. This is where this conversation is going. And the issue is that it totally deletes and neglects the other person in the room. You hear this all the time. A lot of my friends that are on the apps, they will always say, they'll ask a person a question, and then that's it. No other follow-up, no nothing. Just, that's it. No, how are you doing? Just, yeah, I'm doing great. Wow, so what are we getting here today? Wow, this weather. And when you're not being of value to somebody else, you're not reciprocating what's going on, the value drops. It just drops. Because you want to collab with people, you want to be conversational with people, you want to exchange with people. And part of that, being of value, being of service, bringing a skill to somebody else or a scenario means that you are already increasing the value, but just by being there. Sadhguru says, whatever relationship you choose to be in will be of value simply because you are involved. When we draw a healthy boundary for ourselves or speak up, we're raising our standard. And when we start to realize what we're doing, the standard's already getting raised up. Just by having awareness, you're adding value to a situation. That's just hands down what's happening, because you can't necessarily be of value to a situation if you're not aware of it. You can't raise the vibration of a thing if you're not aware of it. You can't transmutate if you don't have awareness. So when you are already aware of what's going on or what you're bringing to the table, that is of value just off bat, just by itself. So in being aware and just being aware of who we are and who we're being, that already ups the value. But the main thing of this video is to understand, how can you essentially take inventory of yesterday's price and today's price. And I think a big thing is to start on a macro scale. Look at yourself 5 years ago versus now. What has gone up and what has gone down? Do you spend your time the same? Do you have the same people around you? Do you have the same self-talk that you did 5 years ago? Just assess all of that. I think that's all extremely important to write down or look back at past journals and see where that was going. The second thing I would do in assessing yesterday's price versus today's price is, what do you actually want for yourself? And is what you wanted 5 years ago happening right now? Are you living in that reality of what you wanted years ago that you're having right now? And when you can look around you and see, why I actually do have a lot of these things. I have made it to the place that I always wanted to make it to. That's huge. That's absolutely huge. But in realizing it is huge as well, because you want to be able to keep some type of inventory or understanding of where you're at, where you're going. And the last thing is taking a look at things around you that are no longer serving you, that are keeping yesterday's price maybe going down. That's the next step. It's, what do I have to assess? Not what do I have to let go of? A lot of people talk about purging, like just off top. And I think that's a great thing to do. I also think it can get a bit accelerated. We can move a little fast with that. And next thing you know, you're having a yard sale and now you have to replenish everything. But all that being said, when you figure out all of these things, when you assess where you're at, when you assess things that are around you that may not be serving you anymore or that may be serving you, you can take inventory of that. And then lastly, was the second part that I said, was taking a look at where you were at 5 years ago versus now. What does that say for you? What does that mean? How has that journey been for you? Now, once you delineate or figure out where you're at, now we can start talking about, how do you value yourself? Are you showing up for yourself? Yesterday's price not being today's price. Who is around you that can actually, that you like spending time with? What have you been tacitly spending time on? And start to, again, take inventory. There was, to get into the story here, and a lot of this stuff is with art and music. And as an artist starting off, you want to give your stuff out for free, like off bat. And you think that that's the way to go. And there's this one musician who passed away. We always wanted people to get into this certain club when I was in college. And so we would try to keep the price low. And we said, we're going to charge $4 at the door. And this bass player that was playing the night, he was like, nah, man, my dad always said you get what you pay for, and we're worth more than that. And so upped it up, and it worked out great. But that always stuck with me, because I had never really engaged with that reality, especially with the band that I was with. We were like a group of pirates. We were like, we'll play any show, anywhere, for, whatever. We just wanted to play. And that played to our advantage a lot, but then a lot of times it didn't. You have to delineate where you're going to put your energy. And if the only place you're putting your energy is everywhere and anywhere, well, then it's not really worth much, is it? Yeah. So I love how I get that. Yeah. So we were in a practice space, and the owner of the building was going to throw a New Year's Eve party. And he said, I'm gonna throw this New Year's Eve party, and I want all the bands that are playing here to play at it. What would it cost to bring you guys out? And we said, this number. We're like, oh, we'll play for this. So we went and played the New Year's Eve party. And, got paid, and that was that. We talked to one of the bands that played after us, and he said, the same owner had come into their room and said the same thing. I'm throwing a New Year's Eve party. How much would it cost to get you on stage? And one of the guys in the group was like, whoa, New Year's Eve? I'm not trying to play no music during New Year's Eve. And then the owner said, well, what would it cost? And this kid threw out a pretty big number. And the owner of the building was like, bet, got it. He stated his value, or he stated what he thought the band's value was, kind of spoke for the band a little bit, right? And he was honest. We were just trying to get the show. We didn't want to, take this guy off and, go too high. And what ended up happening was we undervalued ourselves completely. Yesterday's price was actually higher than today's price in that regard. And because we never valued ourselves at what we were actually worth, we were never able to negotiate. You can't negotiate with somebody who's always willing to underbid. It's just like they're just going to go low, and you're like, all right, great, sure. And what we were saying was important, but where we were saying it from was important too, and we were not speaking from a place of power or a place of self-value. In that, this is no judgment on that group or whatever, but that's what happened. And having a healthy boundary for your standard is so important because it's something that you live by, and it's something that unconscious competence follows. If you can't have unconscious competence following what you hold to your standard, you're gonna have to think about it all the time, but I guess that's where it starts out at, right? So you're going to have to be consciously competent of that standard until it becomes like riding a bike. And it's as simple as that. And that is where the power comes in. And that is where you speaking from a place of value comes in. And you're doing it, not even thinking about it. It's just happening. You're just making it happen, and it just keeps clicking and clicking and clicking. So yesterday's price is not today's price, just becomes a way of living. And you're always upping the ante. You're always upping the value. You're increasing yourself. And the last thing that I'll leave you with is that it didn't matter what the owner of that building valued us at. It mattered what we valued ourselves at. That's what it comes down to. It ain't about no stock outside of you. It ain't about what people think you are or what they think that you're worth. It is about what you think you are worth. And once you start to raise that standard or declare that standard or that price, whatever that may be, that is when it starts. It's when you declare it. All right. I hope you got something from this video. We're talking about a lot of internal healthy boundaries, which I know is tough, but I'm trying to convey this as much as possible because it's so important. If you have any stories about maintaining a internal healthy boundary of self-worth and self-value, feel free to put it in the comments below. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you in the next video.